Welcome to Minutes with McNabb. On this episode, we're going to meet a young man who is the living definition of inspiration and determination. Nick Santonastasso inspires millions of people every day, and he joins me on a very special Minutes with McNabb. Minutes with McNabb. How you doing? This is Sean McNabb from Minutes with McNabb, and my guest today is the most awesome motivational speaker that I've seen ever, Nick Santonastasso. Welcome to Minutes with McNabb, brother.
My man, thanks for having me. Grateful for the opportunity.
Man, it's so good to see you here today. Nick, I've been watching a bunch of your videos and just getting so inspired, and couple things just when I think of you after watching what you do in your craft, a couple things come to heart, and it's just you got so much heart, man, and just inspiration. Thank you for that.
You got it, brother. I think it's extremely important that people realize sometimes in life you get dealt a shitty hand, and you got to make the most out of the situation. And I think we've all learned that during this unprecedented time, is that we have to find the gift in every situation. So I'm just happy to be here.
And you are a gift and an inspiration to so many. So let's start from the beginning, Nick. Tell us about growing up and tell us about hand-heart syndrome and what that's all about, for people that don't know. And please tell us.
Really? So I'm 24 years old, and in 1996, my parents went in for a late ultrasound. And when they went in for that late ultrasound, they brought the baby up on the screen, and suddenly the doctors started saying, "Oh my God, there's something wrong." And they came to the conclusion that they classified me with what we call hand-heart syndrome. And what hand-heart syndrome is a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And actually, at the time of my birth in 1996, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies have passed away due to undeveloped organs. And so the babies are born and they can't breathe on their own, they can't eat on their own, and they later on pass away. And so, talking about focusing on the good, my parents had a choice. They can focus on a 70% chance of me passing away, which will bring them anxiety, stress, anger, pissed off, all the emotions that we don't want to feel, or we can focus on that 30% chance of me surviving. And, I always let people know, for the audience as well, is what you focus on, you will get more of, and what you focus on will expand. And that's why a lot of people are always miserable or pissed off, because they're always focused on the wrong things. And so, I was born in this unicorn body, no legs and one arm, and gratefully all my organs were 100% healthy. And that is where little Nick started out.
Nick, that is inspirational, man. And is that true? I read a little bit about this, that only 1 in 4 people survive this condition.
Yeah. So I was, at that time, like I said, I was one of the 4. And now what's pretty cool, in a sense, is that there have been 2 or 3 other people with hand-heart syndrome that have found me because of my social media platforms, that have reached out, and I'm able to give them guidance. But I think most importantly, as someone with no legs and one arm, or any limb difference, they can now look to someone and say, well, that guy's kind of like me. I can kind of model what he's doing. Because when I was younger, there weren't many people that looked like me.
Yeah. Nick, I've seen like so many videos of you when you were a kid, just doing regular kid stuff, and tell us a little bit about that, and also, tell us about that first, just.
So my parents, I have 3 other siblings, and I was the last kid, and I guess they say as parents, you always figure out some new parenting techniques after a couple kids. So you get to split test your parent methods. And
Right.
my biggest advantage my parents gave me, my friends, was they treated me normal. I got beat up by my siblings. My parents didn't put step stools and little loops on things because my dad said if I make your home environment easy, you're going to get smacked in the face by reality at an early age. And so one of the things that I developed at an early age, what I think is extremely important, is I developed a great relationship with failure rather than a negative one. At an early age, I realized that failure was inevitable, and I'm going to need to fail in order to learn and and improve. And so, for example, you've probably seen pictures of me skateboarding or playing football
Yep.
or trying to hit
Yep.
a bat and a wiffle ball, and it's just because my parents like, yeah, just try whatever and fall on your face and figure it out. And that was, like I said, that was my biggest gift because my parents didn't coddle me. And a lot of the times, able-bodied kids are handicapped by the way that they're coddled. And so I'm grateful that my parents didn't coddle me and let me get beat up because it sculpted me into the man I am today.
And what a man you are, dude. You are just so inspiring. I've been inspired all weekend just, watching your stuff. And, I know you're all about positivity, and so am I. But I got asked this question, before we get to all that. It wasn't always easy. I read in your teens that, you had some actual suicide thoughts and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you overcame
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can all agree that middle school and high school are probably the most judgmental times of our lives, with limbs or
Word.
without limbs. It's a rough time. And so one of the things that I was looking for, the secret sauce, was confidence. And as a kid, I was like, well, I guess you're born with confidence. I don't have it. I don't have legs. I don't have confidence. Where does this thing come from? And what I've realized is that confidence is actually a skill. It's something that we cultivate. And how we cultivate confidence is we have to continuously follow through on the promise that we keep within ourselves. And so, for example, say you and you said, hey, meet me at Chipotle. We're going to have a burrito date at 6 p.m. and you show up and I don't. How many times of me not showing up are you going to realize that I'm unreliable? Probably once, twice, 3 times maybe. And so if we flip the script on ourselves, how many times of us making a promise and we break it within ourselves are we going to realize we're unreliable? And so what that means is when we make a promise and we don't follow through in it, we actually diminish the relationship we have within ourselves. We diminish our self-integrity, our confidence. And so as a kid, I was just looking for confidence and I wanted the girls to like me. And I don't think they liked the whole no legs and one arm thing, or maybe some of them did and some of them didn't. But there were specific moments where girls made fun of me. And that would, because of that event, that would cultivate beliefs about women or girls at the time, right? And the beliefs were girls don't like guys with no legs and one arm, and I'll never have a girlfriend, and I'll never go to prom, and I'll never go to a dance.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I realized the power of reframing. And what reframing is like I could have a tragic event happen in my life, and you could have the same thing happen to you. You could see all the bad. I could see all the good. It's what we tend to focus on. And so I struggled with, I guess, females in that section of my life for a long time, and that's what stemmed to suicidal thoughts. Didn't think I was worthy, but a few years ago, I reframed it, and this is how I did it. I realized that if a girl doesn't want to love on me, if a girl doesn't want to have a relationship with me, if a guy doesn't want to be my friend because my no legs and one arm, well, wait, maybe this disability or whatever you want to call it is actually working as an authentic human filter, and it's filtering out the type of women and the type of men that I don't want in my life anyway. From then, my life changed because I changed my story around what I made myself, and my biggest curse became my biggest gift because I was able to change my story.
Man, that's awesome. And I've seen a picture of you and your girlfriend, and we'll get to that later. And wow, man, she's amazing. Nice. Well done, man. Nice one. All right. So my next thing is you kind of made your name on YouTube and Vine and Prankster and stuff like that. And, tell me about how that all started. And it's awesome, by the way.
Yeah. So at first, one of the things that I did to instill confidence was I became a wrestler. My older brother was a wrestler, and I wanted to be a wrestler. I thought it was the most badass thing in the world. And so my junior year, I became a wrestler. And then my senior year, I was a varsity wrestler. And at that moment, there was a specific moment where I came off the mat and I got my butt kicked. I wasn't the best wrestler. And this mom came up to me crying. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And she's like, you did nothing wrong. I want to thank you. And I'm like, what, for your entertainment? I just got my ass kicked. Like, what are we talking about? And she said, you see that little girl over there? That's my daughter. And that little girl never wanted to do a sport. She never wanted to do an extracurricular activity. But seeing you out there on the mat, you opened up her mind and she wants to try new sports. I want to thank you.
That's
and
cool.
In that moment, I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't even trying to help people. Imagine how many people I could help if I focused my energy on helping them. And I also realized, as humans, our suffering stops once we serve something greater than ourselves. A lot of the times, if we're in a suffering state, we're most likely just focused on our own needs, and we're not trying to help anyone else. But we all know, you and I both know, that when we do an act of kindness for someone else, we feel really damn good about it. I don't know about you, but I feel really great about it. And
Absolutely.
so in that moment, I was like, wow, I want to help more people. And I like the feeling I get when I help people. And so I at that time, I was a senior in high school in 2014, and the app Vine came out. And for those that don't know what Vine is, Vine was an app that was released where you can post 6-second videos. And so you had to be as creative as you can in 6 seconds. And I knew what it felt like to be unconfident. I knew what it felt like to be suicidal, depressed, and I wanted to create a way where I can make people laugh but inspire them at the same time. And so I'm with my buddies and I'm thinking of an idea, and I was like, oh my God, I got one. And they're like, what is it? And I said, well, how many legless guys do you see crawling around Walmart pretending to be a zombie? And they said, no one. And I said, oh my God, it's a great idea. Let's do it. And so I put fake blood on my face and I put fake blood on my clothes, and I set out to my local Walmart in Lacey, New Jersey, which Nick's not allowed in that Walmart anymore. And I pulled off my first prank where I crawled up to someone and I went, rah! And I scared them as a legless zombie, and it went viral. And that was the start of me blowing up on the internet and using my body and my platform for good.
Man, and that's led to this amazing career that you got going on. What a great start and creative outlet, for you, your way in, and how cool is that? Let's see. I want to talk to you a little bit because I know we share this, the working out thing and the bodybuilding, and I know that you do that, and that leads to my next question, which is, when you worked out with Rock and everything, and you become buds with him and everything. But tell me about bodybuilding and working out and what that means to you. And
yeah, great question. So after high school, wrestling really made me realize how much I love pushing myself physically and mentally. And I always envied guys in shape. I never thought I could have the six-pack or be in shape. And also at that age, I was like, well, girls will like me if I have a six-pack. I mean, it's got to work. That's my thought process. But I started bodybuilding, and it's funny because when I started bodybuilding, people were like, oh, like, you can't be a bodybuilder. You have no legs. And I'm like, most bodybuilders skip leg day anyway. I'll fit right in. So I started bodybuilding, and I fell in love with the sport, but I also made a pretty big name for myself. But it's much more than the name and the physique. It's more of the self-worth that it gave me. What better investment that you can invest in is the investment within yourself and your body. I mean, that's all we have. And sometimes we don't even get all of our parts, so we got to take good care of our body, right? And so bodybuilding and health is extremely important to me because for those that are listening, I want you to write this down. You'll never make more than you think you're worth. And that's in all areas of your life. That's in finance. That's in relationships. That's in your body and your mind. You'll never have a relationship if you don't think you're worth it. You'll never have great friends if you don't think you're worth it. You'll never have a fit body if you don't think you're worth it. So look, it all comes down to self-worth and how you view yourself. And so I took my body. That was my biggest curse. And bodybuilding was a way for me to fall in love with it because I couldn't get rid of it. And through that journey, I fell in love with my body. Now I think I have unstoppable confidence that able-bodied guys wish they had. And it's because I took the time to invest in myself and realized that I don't need validation from a girl, a teacher, a mentor, a bodybuilder. The only person that I need validation from is myself.
Right on, man. I love that. And dude, I'm working through a strain right now, one of those forearm strains, and I'm assuming you've had those and back strains, and they're no fun. You got anything for me on that?
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but I'd say cold baths, really cold baths,
Really?
called like cold plunges, and it'll reduce inflammation. But what it also does
Okay.
is it'll give you a natural high because your body will go in fight or flight mode, and you'll have to focus on your breathing. And so you'll take really deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And at first, you won't. It'll be more like you're like you're trying to gasp for air.
Yeah.
And so once you get your breathing in motion, you'll get this natural high.
Yeah.
But cold baths is really great for inflammation and recovery.
I love that breathing thing too, because, there'll be times where I might be auditioning for something or this or that. And I'm like, man, I got a little nervousness going on there. And I'll do that 10 in and 10 out. And it just kind of brings me right down to the work that I'm doing and the choices that I've made and things like that. And that is so important, breathing. And I think a lot of people take that for granted. So I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that advice.
A lot of the times, if you're feeling anxiety and stress, it probably because you're not breathing, you're holding your breath, and so take some deep
Yeah.
breaths, and you'll calm yourself back down.
Seems so simple, but it really does work. Okay, back to the bodybuilding. So that led to a relationship with The Rock, who's like, I think he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood, and seems just like the coolest guy. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I met The Rock. The way I met The Rock was before I met him in person. I had sent him so many bodybuilding videos trying to get on his radar, and he had seen it and he replied, and so I knew he knew what I looked like or who I was. And so in 2017, I competed in my first bodybuilding show, and 2 weeks before my show, I went out to Las Vegas for Mr. Olympia, which is one of the biggest bodybuilding conventions. And I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
believer in moments of being guided. And moments of being guided means sometimes you were in the right place at the right time, or a business opportunity fell into your lap at the right time, or a relationship fell into your lap at the right time. And so I went to the expo Friday and Saturday, and Sunday I decided to chill at the hotel, and then I needed to get my lift on because I was on prep. And so I go to this gym in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I think it's shut down because of the times, but it's called City Athletic Club. And the reason why it's so famous is because the mirrors and the lighting make you look better than what you look like. It's really amazing. That's why we all go there. And so
Right.
I go into this gym, and everybody's like, the gym's packed. And my buddy comes running up to me, he goes, dude, The Rock is upstairs lifting. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Can I still work out? I need to get my lift on. And so, I climb up these stairs, and lo and behold, there's Dwayne, and he's surrounded by 4 guys in suits, and he's working out. I'm like, holy shit, it's really The Rock. And I told my friends, I said, guys, don't bother him. I stick out like a sore thumb. He knows who I is. He knows who I am. If The Rock is who he says he is, he'll come up to me. Let's just test his character a little bit. And
Right on.
so about 45 minutes goes by, and his security guard comes up to me. He goes, "You're Nick, right?" I was like, "Not many people look like me, brother." Messing with him, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm Nick." And he's like, "Dwayne wants to meet you." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." And so they escort me over to the corner, and they bring Dwayne over, and he tries his best to get on my level, and he squats down, and he goes, "Dude, I'm such a big fan. I love what you do. Can I have a picture with you?" And inside, I'm like, "Oh my God, it's Dwayne Johnson!" Like a little girl, you would all be doing the same thing too.
Of course.
But on the outside, I'm like, "Sure, bro. I could drop my set and take a picture." And so we take this picture, and I looked at him and I said, "Dude, I'm gonna do what you did." And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I'm gonna take over the world. I'm gonna be the first Calvin Klein with no legs. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna speak all over the world, and you're gonna see it happen." And he goes, "You're right." He goes, "Because people like you and I, they put us in any industry, and we adapt and overcome." And that day, I told him about my show, and that it was 2 weeks. I was competing in 2 weeks. And fast forward 2 weeks, he posted me on his Instagram the day of my competition, and he thanked me for sharpening his perspective on life a little bit more.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That's a testament to the man that Dwayne is. That's really cool. And the man that you are, Nick. That's amazing. All right. This next thing I want to ask you, and I think it's human nature. We tend to always go to the negative, and I love this what you said, and it's just inspired me. The greatest thing I think I've heard you say is when you're giving a motivational speech it's not the physical body that holds us back, it's the mindset. And that, man, that just totally resonated with me, and I'd love to have you elaborate on that because you've inspired me, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So What I've realized, like you said, what I've realized over the 24 years of my life, that it's not the physical core that holds us back. Most people, the biggest men and women, are crippled by their mindset, their limited mindset. And so really, people will see me on the street and they'll be like, wow, like look how disabled that guy. But really they don't know that I have an unstoppable mindset, and I probably achieved more than they did because of my mindset. And so the reason why that's so important is because we can all agree that there's two worlds. We have an internal world and we have an external world. And what we learned over this past year is we can't control the external world. There's some shit happens. We can't control the news. We can't control COVID. We can't control the external world. But the only thing that we can control and we have harness over is our internal world. And so when we begin to look within and do work on ourselves and do work on our mind and read books and listen to podcasts and study the way that successful people think, the external world tends to change because we've mastered here. And so there's a few questions. I'll just drop a few questions for the audience because the importance of focus is important. One question is, in your life, do you tend to focus on the things that you can control, the things that you can't control? Most people, they tend to focus on the things that they can't control. They get overwhelmed, and it's pointless to focus on things you can't control because it's out of your control. The second question is, in your life, do you tend to focus on your past, your present, or future? Most people are always focused on their past, and it brings them shitty emotions. And so for those that are listening right now, I want to let you know, from a brother to a brother and a brother to a sister, that your past doesn't define you, but the very actions you take in this moment do. And then the third thing is, in your life, do you tend to focus on what you have or what you don't have the majority of the time? And when you ask, because I've asked thousands of people all over the world, I see patterns. And what people say is they usually focus on the things that they don't have. And that's a big problem because especially with social media, there's always going to be someone that's richer, smarter, has a better watch, better girlfriend, better car than you. And so if you constantly focus on the things that you don't have, you'll never be fulfilled and you'll never be happy. It's a bottomless trap, right? And so those three questions are really powerful for people to focus on. And like my answers, the way that I am is I focus on the things that I can control. I focus on the present and the future. And I focus on the things that I have rather than I don't have. And the easy example is, if I woke up every single day, a man with no legs, and I focus on the fact that I'll never become a professional soccer player, I'd have a very miserable life. And so I don't. I focus on my unique strengths. I focus on my unique abilities. I focus on the things that I can do. And that's why I'm happy and fulfilled, because of that focus.
Amazing, bro. Amazing. And that was so well put. Thank you for that. Okay, Nick, tell us about your newest project, Victory Challenge, and fill us in on that, bro.
Yeah. So my brand is Victorious, and really the motto is victim to victor. Right. So I was a victim my whole life, as in like, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why am I born like this? And then I became a victor once I mastered my mind. And so really, Victorious, or the Victory Challenge, is giving. The Victory Challenge, for example, was a free challenge. It was like 4 to 5 days where every single day I jump on Zoom live and I teach people strategies for their body, their mind, their relationships, and their wealth. And then at the end, they have the opportunity to join my inner circle, which is my year-long mastermind. And so really, it's just a way to get people in my world and influence them, because we can all agree you can only impact or inspire so much for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. But the real impact happens when they constantly follow up and they're in proximity of you and they constantly learn from you. That's when the real change happens. So just another way to get people in my world so I can help them break out of their shell and live the life that they want.
Man, that's amazing. And I may be joining you on that because, dude, you just inspire me and so many others. I am so blessed to have you on my show today. My very first show. Thanks for dealing with some technical issues, but I just so appreciate you, man. It's awesome. Okay, this is a thing that we're doing. It's called the Rapid Fire 5, Full Throttle, and I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you answer them however you'd like. But who has been the most influential in your life, Nick?
Yeah, real quick, I'll do rapid fire, right? So when I was 12 or 13, remember I said there weren't many people that looked like me. There is a man, he's 37 now, but his name is also Nick, and he was born in Australia, and he was born with no legs or arms. And when I was 13, my parents took me to New York. He speaks at churches, and they took me to
Uh-huh.
see him speak. I met him backstage, and it was my realization that I too could be successful just like him. And so I think that was my most influential moment in person in my life.
Awesome. This next one is near and dear to me. Who are your favorite bands and what's your favorite kind of music, brother? What do you rock out
Yeah,
on when you're working out?
of
So
course, everything that you're involved in, right? I like rock, I like country, and to be honest,
cool.
I like rap and hip hop, and we share something in common. One of the things that I did this year was I asked myself, what would younger Nick want to do? What would little kid Nick want to do? Because as we grow adults, we forget some things that really made us happy as kids. And so one of the great things that I love to do was sing and rap. And so I actually put a studio in my Vegas house, and I have a few songs
Nice.
out on Spotify, and it's just my passion project. And so I respect all music. And I'm a big believer in doing things that make you feel like a little kid, and one of them is rapping and singing.
Oh man, that's cool, and I will definitely check you out on that platform for sure. Let's see. If you could have a billboard, yeah, your own billboard, and who knows, you probably do. What would it say?
Bro, I think I'd take the quote that you wrote down. It would be a picture of me shredded and jacked, and I'd say the physical body doesn't hold you back, but the biggest disability you can have is a bad mindset.
Man, that's it, and that's totally it. If there was one word that people could associate with you, what would that be? With your one word with your name, what would that be?
Authentic. I'm
I
authentic,
love that.
and I'm always willing to share my deepest and darkest stories because I know it has the ability to impact someone on the other side. So you get full transparency and authenticity from me always.
That's awesome, and we share that. I've been in recovery for many, many years, and I've had guys call me up and just go, "Hey, dude, how did you get sober, man? How'd you do that?" And especially in this crazy entertainment business, the rock and roll and the acting and stuff. And I just, was there for them and just kind of explained, how I did it. And that doesn't mean that's the way they're going to do it, but they're like, "Wow, thanks." And I've had some success, some people dig themselves out of addiction and get on with their lives and live beautiful, amazing lives. So I can totally relate to that. Let's see. Okay. Uh, Not my questions. There's one of my producer's questions, but who's the most famous person in your contacts in your phone?
That's great. I got a few. I'd say
I bet you do.
Dan Bilzerian. I don't know if you know Dan Bilzerian. He's the guy with the guns. He's the modern day Hugh Hefner. And then I'd also say my world's a little bit different than some people's world. I'm more in the personal development. So I'd also say um, Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman is the guy who created the kiosk in the airport. He's a
Okay.
billionaire friend of mine. And then I'd
Nice.
also say Russell Brunson, which is the CEO of ClickFunnels, which is mostly all of these people online. If they have digital products, they use ClickFunnels. That's a buddy of mine as well. So
Cool. Okay. So what being on tour with Tony Robbins and stuff. I mean, what's that like? What's your day to day? When you guys are on the road and stuff. Because
yeah,
I'm
I
curious.
mean, before COVID, we
Right.
hit
Obviously.
Australia. Yeah, we hit Australia. We hit Singapore, and then my biggest event live with Tony was in Miami Heat Arena with 15,000 people, and I'm just extremely grateful to be 23, 24 years old and on stage with the best in the world. And so I'm going to harness that. I'm grateful for that. And then, as you know, in a couple hours, I'll be with Tony again in front of 40 to 45,000 people in his virtual studio, and we'll go ahead and rock the building. So just a lot of gratitude and of a lot of appreciation and a lot of reflecting, because as we all know, we can have live events 1 minute and the next thing they're gone, poof, they're gone, right? So we want to always reflect back on the great moments and never take them for granted.
Man, that's perfect. All right, I got one more question for you, but before I do that, I just want to, what's COVID? What's Nick do? What's Nick done in COVID times this last year? Briefly, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's two types of people that happen during COVID. One, the one person sharpens their blade, and the other one, their blade becomes dull. And so people lose habits, they lose rituals, they fall off on their diet, their business. But I took this time to learn new skills, new ways to provide value to the marketplace, and really reevaluated my whole life and said, all right, I have time to slow down. I'm not on the road. Where do I need to patch my boat? You know, what are the holes in my business? What are the holes in my relationship? What are the holes in my family? And so I took this time to slow down and build a better foundation so I could freaking blow up when COVID ends.
Completely. And, I've kind of done the same thing in COVID. It feels like I've gotten to enjoy some things, just like my wife, for example. We've gotten to spend more time together and not be running out to some event, rubber chicken dinner, every weekend, and fundraising, which is great and everything. But we've gotten to spend quality time at home, and it's been really amazing, and not be on the road. That has been a gift. Are we ready to get back to work? Yes. But okay, last question, and this comes from one of my producers, who this thing doesn't happen without my two producers. I want to thank Angelo and Joe. These guys, they just worked countless hours to make the Minutes with McNabb happen. Okay, so this question is, who is your all-time favorite teacher?
Oh, easy, Mr. Guadagno. So that's Angelo, and that's one of your producers. Yeah, I have a few favorite teachers, and he's at the top. And always kept in touch. Always been a mentor and a buddy of mine. And as this happened, right, I'm always down to circle back and come full circle and serve. So that's my man right there.
Yeah, mine too. I met him and his family through some gigs we were doing out on the East Coast, and we just kind of bonded, and we've been friends for many years now. And he's got just a beautiful family, and he goes, "Hey, man, I want to do this for you," and he had a dream, I guess, about this podcast, and we've made it reality, and we are just so blessed to have you as our first guest, Nick. Thank you so much for your time today, and you have a great day with Tony, and everybody, Minutes with McNabb, my first guest, my first show. He popped the cherry on Minutes with McNabb, Nick Santo Nastasso.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me. Sending love.
You rock, man. Thanks so much.
You got it, brother.